Yes.
Okay.
Whenever I see Domino's cars driving on the street, I always think about that episode of Black Mirror.
Which one?
Where they have the self-driving pizza delivery cars. And
I don't know if I've seen that.
I think it's called Crocodile, the episode. It's like the woman like sees the guy get hit by
Oh,
the guy
yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
she kills
That
the
one
baby
was bad.
who actually turns out to be blind. So the baby didn't even need to be killed.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite
Oh
ones.
my god. I forgot about that episode.
It's such a good fucking show.
I think I stopped. Like, I couldn't finish that season because it was so, like, hard to watch. All of this.
Oh, so, hey, welcome to our book club podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Our 7th installment.
Is it? Yeah.
I think so, yeah. 7th
February.
month, 7th book.
Here we go.
This month we did Fight Club.
We did, and we're not sick this month. Well, you weren't sick last time. But it was like, I was starting to get sick, and then we both got hellaciously sick.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, because you were coughing.
Yeah, I was
had,
like, just
a
starting to
fever.
get the bad of it.
Yeah.
I was not feeling good, and I was coughing the entire time.
It's okay. We powered through it. All right, Fight Club.
Fight Club was so good.
Chuck Palahniuk.
I think we were supposed to look that up.
I watched.
I think that the H is silent. Palahniuk.
I'm gonna call him Chuck.
Chuck P. Yeah, this was a great book.
This was a fantastic book.
How did you feel about this book?
I really liked it, and I'll go ahead and fully disclose again. I read the first half, and then I ran out of time because I have no time management skills, and I had to listen to the second half on Audible, which we're still not sponsored by.
Look, for the 4th month in a row, we've been really busy, okay? We've been really busy since the hurricane.
It just has not stopped. The money's been depleting.
Yeah.
We've been working more.
Yeah. We're taking donations.
Oh, yeah. We're taking donations and sponsorships from Audible.
We've been up to a lot this month, though. Alex is going back to school.
Hopefully.
I'm trying to get the hell out of Wilmington.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Fight Club.
Yeah. Yeah.
You started it. You
Huh?
turned on the faucet.
I'm sorry. I really liked this book. I think we keep putting it off because we don't know where to begin.
Okay, so here's Fight Club, right? Here's the premise of Fight Club. Is there is this no-name, dweeby little, white bread, Midwestern ? It's not really for sure about where this book really takes place. It's like in a city.
But what city?
But I don't know. I was gonna say Michigan, but I think that's what the last Gatsby, but I think what was it, Lovely Bones?
Yeah.
That book was fuck that fucking book, really. Yeah. So it starts out with this vanilla character.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't really have a name in the book. He references himself as Jack a couple of times.
Does he? I didn't even notice that.
Well, he calls himself Jack, and even in the movie, like he'll say something, and he talks in third person sometimes. And he'd be like, Jack so and so surprise. Like instead of using a new name every time, he uses it for Jack. Like when he was in the office getting beat up. You don't have to put all this in.
I don't remember that.
Anyway, but they never he never says I am Jack or anything.
Yeah.
He has this nameless vanilla character, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he works at this, it's not an insurance firm. It's like a car manufacturing place, but he does recall investigations and stuff, and like he makes the decision on like what should be recalled and all of that bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, he's just living a really 9-to-5 boring life. He has all these possessions that he really kind of keeps.
Well, he flies, like, the company has him fly, like, all over the country to all these different sites where, like, car crashes or, like, explosions or defaults have happened.
Yeah.
And he has to fly out and, like, deem it worthy or not of a recall, if it's going to be too expensive for the company or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Our narrator has insomnia, like hell, and he tries to go and get like medicated for it, but the doctor's pretty much just like, nah, just chew on some valerian root.
Is that in the book too? I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's in the very beginning. And which, by the way, I'm going to go ahead and say, don't ever chew on valerian root unless you have no sense of taste or smell whatsoever.
What's valerian root?
That's the friggin' tea that I got my dad because I heard that was good for sleeping.
Uh-huh.
And my dad has problems sleeping sometimes. And so I got him some valerian root. And I didn't realize until I got home and opened up the package that it smells like rotting flesh.
Ooh.
And I'm not kidding when I say that. Like, it smells like... Have you ever had gauges? Or you've had a piercing that's been affected that you can smell? That's what it smells like.
Oh, my God.
And so I told my mom, I'm like, smell this really great jasmine tea I got Daddy. And she's like, what the fuck is that? But yeah, he says, my doctor told me to chew valerian root, get more exercise. Eventually, I'd fall asleep. So the doctor's really not being much help. And so this insomnia is kind of the catalyst to his mental breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
Mental breakdowns seem to be a common theme in our book club. Why don't you take it away, Alex?
Yeah, so as he goes about his travels with his company that he's with, he meets a man named Tyler Durden on a plane, and they create this weird friendship, and he ends up going to live with him on Paper Street in this gigantic, dilapidated house, and that's where they make their soap that Tyler has, that's Tyler's business. He makes soap.
From human fat that he steals. Yeah. Behind plastic surgery.
Which, they didn't even mention Marla's mother in the movie, which I thought that was a sick part of the book.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he meets Tyler. Tyler makes soap. He also knows how to make homemade explosives. He just sprinkles that knowledge in.
Good stuff to know.
And
long division.
And they go to a bar one night and get drunk, and they have a conversation about how you haven't lived your life fully until you've been in a fight. So they fight each other. Men gather around. They're interested. They want to fight each other. And thus Fight Club is born.
Right. Fight Club. One of the first rule about Fight Club is that you don't talk about Fight Club.
And the second rule of Fight Club is that you don't talk about Fight Club. You don't fight about Fight Club.
So this creates a problem. I don't know. It felt very podcaster-like music. So this creates an issue. This creates a point of contingency. Mm-hmm. So they start this Fight Club, which is pretty much just comprised of all these grown men only, no women allowed, because women are the root of every single problem ever, and the women are the root of every single problem that most of these men have. So these men, they fight each other pretty much until they have roles, but it's pretty much until either the person taps out, right? I mean, that's it.
Or passes out.
Right. So, I mean, this is pretty hard stuff. So, during the day, the narrator is still going to work at his menial job, but still it's a white-collar job, so people are seeing him with all these, blackened eyes and stuff.
Yeah. And he does not care.
He doesn't care. And nobody really asked him about it, which is what I read was one of, I don't know exactly where I pulled it from, but the author, Chuck P., good old CP over here, he was inspired to write this book because he was in a fight and no one at work asked him about it when he had a black eye.
Huh.
Everybody was just kind of, pretending like it wasn't there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That makes me think about, our daily lives. I've seen people with, injuries, and I haven't asked because I don't want to be what happened? Yeah. But then it's what happened?
Right.
Did you go to Fight Club?
Next time I see
very cool.
Yeah, I'll have to put a link in the article somewhere, but it's one of the first things to pop up if you type in, facts or something.
Yeah, so...
Support groups.
So the narrator is having trouble with insomnia, and he finds out that if he goes to these support groups around town, for testicular cancer and brain parasites, blood parasites, like all these different things where he's just surrounded by these people that are dying, and he can just like pretend that he's one of them, and like for that moment feel like he's dying too, and he can just like let it all out and cry, which is so messed up. He can go home and sleep like a baby. So he gets addicted to going to these support groups and just like hearing these people's stories and meditating with these people and crying with these people
that are like not gonna be there in a month or 2 months,
and he like gets off on it. It's so weird. And then he can sleep, or so he thinks.
But that's where he meets the love and the hate of his life. Marla Singer.
I love that name.
I was just about to say that name sounds like something from
Marla
Virgin
Singer.
Suicides or something.
Yeah, it does. It does.
So Marla is a thorn in his side. Marla.
The boy with a thorn in his side. The Smiths.
Can you add crickets?
Never mind, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No.
Diverging.
No, it's good.
No, go. Say what you're going to say.
Well, now I don't remember.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. Marla. So, what's the quote in here? I had it thumbed down, but you know how I do. Is there no way to mark it? God damn it. But anyway, the whole thing is that the narrator wants Tyler.
Yeah.
Tyler wants Marla. And Marla wants the narrator.
And he wants, that's what
And Marla wants the narrator.
Yeah, narrator wants Tyler. Yeah.
So there's 3 of them. And so it's like this, like, conflict in the...
It's a love triangle.
Right. Yeah. And so the narrator is really dismissive of Marla. Like, he's not... You know, whenever she is around, like, he's not super nice to her.
No, he's like, why are you here? Get out of my house.
Yeah, which I'm like, it's not that bad to her. That shows you my level of that I'll deal with from men. I'm just kidding. I feel like we're getting, like we're not saying a lot.
We're still summarizing, but we're, like, trying to introduce the characters. So, Marla. Well, so he meets Marla at the support groups, and he like confronts her because they're all going to the same support groups.
Right.
And he's calling her like a tourist, and she's like, well, you're doing the same thing. And so they work it out to where they split the support groups so they don't go to the same ones, which is so weird. But then they form that relationship just because of that, like, encounter. And so the narrator really doesn't want anything to do with her, and then she calls him one day and is like saying, I accidentally took too much Xanax, like, hope this doesn't like kill me,
gonna die.
And he's like, all right, whatever. And then Tyler picks up the phone and like hears this, and at least in the book he thinks that this is like a real bad thing that's happening. He calls the police and like runs to the hotel to go and get her. And that's how her and Tyler meet.
And they're very sexually attracted to one another.
Yes.
He lays it on. Thick.
Yeah, so...
Oh, God.
Yeah, and that's, like, the extent of their relationship. And, like, when they're not having sex, then he's telling the narrator, like, get her out. Like, I don't want to see her. Like, don't talk to her about me. Like, don't even bring up my name. That's all.
Yeah. And Marla is just this lost soul.
Yeah, just getting flung around, confused the whole time.
I think she secretly enjoys it a little bit.
Yeah, she sticks around.
She's kind of a freak.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean she deserves it.
Right.
But.
Yeah. So she's kind of like an anchor in all of this.
Right. She's the one real thing, at least.
Yeah.
Between the 2 of them.
Yeah.
So Fight Club, like we said, starts off with this kind of like meeting, like a very small meeting of guys that would just like come some nights and just beat the shit out of each other.
It was like every Sunday night, I think.
Okay. And then
Saturday night into Sunday morning.
So they came and beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
And like...
It was like euphoric for them.
Right. Because, I mean, these are people like in their everyday lives they were like. The narrator, like they're very working kind of just jobs just to pay the rent. Just
Well, no,
fucking
it was like lawyers and like it ended up being like policemen.
Well, I mean, there's still jobs that just pay the rent. Like, I just
Yeah.
mean like there's nothing greater behind it,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like they're
Yeah,
always wanting
Okay.
like some spice, I guess.
Mhm.
But and just it's like I mean, it's euphoric because one, you're like getting your ass beat. I feel like that's an out of body experience in a way.
Mhm.
And also beating someone's ass, and then on top of that, like you're almost gaining like a brotherhood with these men, and like whenever you go, it is addicting because it's like a shot of like masculinity and just like it's like raw masculinity. So I guess these are men that maybe feel like maybe not so fulfilled in other areas of their life, whether it be work or home or whatever. And so they use Fight Club as an outlet to get crazy. I'd like a Fight Club, but like not where people fight. You know, just a club where everyone can just talk about their feelings.
Yeah.
I would
Or like a
like
verbal
a
Fight
cupcake
Club.
club. You just go and eat a lot of cupcakes.
I'm sure that exists.
If not, I'll make one. I'll call the city tomorrow.
Cupcake Club.
Excuse me, I'd like to start a organized
Cupcake Club. That's
club.
hard to say. Cupcake Club.
We can call it Triple C.
C cubed.
So we have that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Fight Club turns into something greater. Would you like to elaborate on that, Miss Jefferson?
Yeah. So before it kind of evolves, in the book, Tyler is working as like a hotel, like caterer, waiter person, like for these like $1 million, like rich white people, like old elderly, like
my favorite group
spit
of
on
Americans.
you. Yeah. So Tyler gets the narrator a job here as well, and they just like kind of pull these little what would you call them? Not pranks, but they like pee in the soup, and like Tyler puts his dick
Stunts.
in like the whatever more soup, I don't know. But they like fart on a meringue. Like that's one thing that stuck out to me. I hated that. But they do all this stuff, and then they're just like watching these old like privileged white people like eat their shit, like literally.
Yeah.
And so it kind of starts as that, and then they bring that into Fight Club sort of, and then these other people in Fight Club start like pulling these like chaotic behaviors, I guess, just in the real world. And then Tyler starts giving out homework assignments, and if you don't have there's like tasks, and then there's homework assignments, and there's like you literally draw them out of a hat, and like if you pull a blank one, then all you have to do is your homework assignment, which that week it might be go buy a gun.
Oh my God.
But if you pull a task, you have to go do it, and maybe that's like deface like a corporate art piece, I think was one of them. So it becomes these like what's the word I'm trying to think of? It becomes like actual like terrorist like activity almost.
Yeah, literally.
And it's terrifying to think about. Like it shows it in the movie too, but in the book I think it goes a little bit more in depth just as far as like what they were pooling. Like in the movie, like you see like the human sacrifice board with all the licenses, but it doesn't really say anything about that. Like in the book, they literally were like, you have to go out and get 3 human sacrifices and bring me their licenses. Like these people were actually going out and killing people for Tyler, like just for like just to create chaos, because they all just wanted to like shake up the world.
Right. You know what's amazing? This is kind of like off subject, but you know, in like every group, like every pack of animals, there's always like an alpha dog. So it's like in all this like this pack of like almost not losers, but kind of like losers in a way. It's just cute to see, like it's interesting to see, because we have, you know, well, I don't want to spoil it, so I won't say it yet. That was gonna go into the end, but never mind. I rescind that whole comment. We'll save that for the end.
Wait, don't forget it though. Write it down.
Yeah.
It sounded like it was gonna be good.
I don't know, man. Hold on, yeah, let me write it down. Okay, can you tell us a little bit, Miss Jefferson? Wait, that also reminded me when I was in college, I had this professor that we all had to read that night, and so we'd have to read, a couple chapters or like a couple pages of whatever, and like none of us would do it, obviously, because
Yeah.
and so he would bring a fucking bingo. What do you call it? The little
Yeah. You
thing.
like pull the bingo
And
balls out of?
yeah, and everyone got like a number. And so in the beginning of the class, like you got a number from 1 to 23 or whatever. And so like if he drew ours, we'd have to come up and like answer a set of like 5 questions. And
that's terrifying.
I know.
But also very smart on their end.
I had him for 4 different courses, 3 different courses, and that's literally every time. But so I know that the luck that I have, right? Like, I'm humble in that way. Like, I know I am one of the most unlucky people alive. It's just what it is. It's fine. If it's gonna happen to someone, it's gonna happen to me. And that's okay. I've accepted that about myself, which is why I read every single time, and I got picked almost every single time. Out of 50 bingo balls, I got picked. As my witness, you can ask anyone that was in that class with me. Almost every single time.
Oh my god.
For a semester straight. Luckily, it was one of my favorite subjects, so.
That's good.
Yeah. Can you believe that?
I can't believe that.
Talk about chance. It's all bullshit.
They probably had like a bunch of the same numbers in there.
Yeah, it was probably just a big elaborate joke on me. But really, I learned a lot,
Yeah, and you're probably one of the only ones
And
to
I'm a
read.
resilient motherfucker, I learned. Because every time he'd pick me, he'd be like... One time he went to go in there and he was like, does anyone want to guess? And everyone was kind of just looking at me. Okay, sorry. Side note.
That's okay.
So that's what reminds me with the fucking homework.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I got into that.
Yeah.
That's side club. All right. Again, Miss Jefferson, would you like to tell us about your opinions on Project Mayhem? Mayhem?
Yeah.
Mayhem?
It terrifies me.
Yeah.
Like, I think about it, like, today, if there was like, they're a cult. That's what I've been wanting to say, is they're a freaking cult.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, there's a leader, there's pack mentality, there's chaos, there's killing, and there's just blind following.
Mm-hmm.
And it's terrifying to think about, like, if that was actually happening in the real world today, that'd be terrifying.
Yeah.
And he, like, spreads it all over the country. Like, Tyler goes all over the country and starts all these fight clubs, and all these people start, like, joining Project Mayhem and doing all this shit. And that's another thing too, like with the assignments, nobody knew what they were, so it was all anonymous because like rule number 1 of Project Mayhem is you don't ask questions about Project Mayhem.
Right. We're like watchdogs.
Yeah. Car. But so when the narrator is like, what are you guys doing? Like, why are you blowing this stuff up? They're like, oh, rule number 1 is we can't talk about it. And he's like, what is wrong with you? Like, people are dying. And they're like, oh, we can't talk about it.
They have such that mentality, that soldier mentality.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It was,
And people are like that, too. They're so easy. A lot of people are really easily.
Yeah, and if you find something that you're a part of and that you feel, like, accepted in, and
it's like a gang or a terrorist organization.
Yeah, that's exactly what they were too. I don't know why I never noticed that. Like, I think I'd seen the movie maybe like 2 or 3 times before we watched it again tonight, and before I had read the book, because I just read it for the first time, read/listen.
Same thing. You retained it.
Yeah, retained. But I never picked up on that. I was always like, oh, it's Brad Pitt, and he's fighting, and Edward Norton is kind of cute in a weird way.
We need to have a section just about Edward Norton.
Yeah.
He did good.
Yeah, he did.
Anyway.
But yeah, so I don't know why I never picked up on that. Like, when I was retaining it this time around, I was just like, oh my god, this is terrifying, and this is a cult, and these people are actually insane.
And brainwashed.
Yeah.
As hell. Because they felt like they were doing something greater than themselves. Which, and I know you'll agree with me on this movie reminds me so much of Mr.
Oh, yeah.
Robot.
Oh, yeah.
So, but like the whole thing but that's what I didn't really like about the ending. So I guess you can put this in later, but like how they weren't supposed to be blowing up like credit like buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were supposed to blow up like a national museum too. Like it wasn't just about erasing like everyone's debt.
The book?
Mm-hmm.
In the movie, it was just the credit card. Yeah.
Exactly. And like it was more about like destroying like materials and like just like destroying even stuff like precious artifacts, just destroying those because he's so obsessed with she's right.
Which is like Hitler.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah.
Like during Hitler's
Tyler Durden
reign
is Hitler.
Yeah. During his reign, they had like beautiful like works of art destroyed forever
or stolen, and it's being resold, and people are profiting off of other people's blood money.
Yeah. But I guess that's a little bit different because, like, Tyler's outlook is, like you said, it's, like, destroy the material things, like, don't let the things you own you, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As we're surrounded by a shit ton of stuff.
Yeah, like, in the room we don't go in because it's all the stuff that we've hoarded. We just pretend it's not here.
Oh. We're officially 50. We should have a junk room.
Yeah, we do.
No.
Every time we clean it, it just like you turn around and it's like this again.
So speaking of Project Mayhem, is this correct in your opinion, Alex Jefferson? I've been watching the testimony, the Michael Cohen testimony. Literally, I'm not kidding. I started watching it at 10:30, and I did not stop watching until I left the gallery at like 5:30.
Was it still happening?
Yes, it was that long, and I watched the entire. Yeah, it was so good. So I've been seeing people like speak on their microphones like this today. And and Alex, what in your opinion? Was that me? No, that was them.
I just rolled.
Oh, so speaking of
Project Mayhem.
So speaking of Project Mayhem,
yes,
is it correct that like in the movie, in the book, did Tyler disappeared during Project Mayhem until the very end?
Yeah. So you want me to talk about that?
Talk about that. Okay. And then we'll talk about that transition.
So, okay. So, yeah. Project Mayhem becomes this huge thing, and they turn their house into a soap factory where all of these, like, they're referred to as space monkeys lived, and that's, like, all the guys in Fight Club that are now in Project Mayhem. I think they said like 70 some guys could fit in the house, and they all like shave their head. They all have one task to do, and they know how to do it really well, and that's all that they know. And so they're making like explosive soaps. They're making the soaps to sell to the like department stores. They're like carrying out these assignments, like causing like chaos. They're planting gardens full of like supplies that they need to make the soaps, and they're also burying their human sacrifices in the gardens. I don't know if it's necessarily all of them, but it like definitely at one point the narrator's walking through the garden and he talks about some like golden molars he sees, and he's like, oh, that's a jawbone. He like tucks it in the dirt so Marla can't see it. But all the while, yeah, Tyler, like, disappears, and he feels, like, betrayed because it's his friend, but he's also like, what the hell is going on? Like, he doesn't understand what's happening anymore. Nobody's telling him anything.
Because you can't.
And he can't get any information because everybody's like, oh, sir, like, nobody can talk, like, first rule, ugh. And he's like, shut up. Like, he's getting so frustrated. So he starts trying to find Tyler, and, like, he hears Tyler's opening, a Fight Club in Chicago, so he flies to Chicago, and like he sees all these people that are clearly in Fight Club. Like he talks to all these people who have like beat up faces, but they're not telling him anything. They're all like, "Is this a test? Is this a test?" And he's like he just is like, "Shut up." And so he's going all over the country, like following leads. Can't find Tyler. What was your question? You said something about. I had a point.
I was just asking, didn't he disappear right before the Project Mayhem kind of like the whole shit hit the fan?
But he finally, I guess we should do the big reveal.
Yeah.
He finally goes to a bar, I can't remember where, and the bartender is like beat to hell, and he's like, do you know where Tyler Durden is? And he's like, is this a test? And the narrator is like, no, like, tell me where he is. And he's like, you were in here last week, sir. Like, you were asking me about, like, the police crackdown. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, this is the first time I've been in here, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, who do you think I am? And he was like, Mr. Durden. And he's like, what? Like, and so he goes, he calls Marla. He's like, have we ever had sex before? And Marla's like, screw you. Like,
Right.
You're awful to me. And he's like, does that mean yes or no? And so he's like, what's my name? And she's like, Tyler Durden. And he's like, oh, shit.
For real?
Yeah. You serious? So the narrator realizes that he has created this, or he has this dual personality, and Tyler Durden is him, and he is Tyler Durden. But the whole time he has seen him and talked to him and fought him, like, he's a completely different person. And what is so twisted in the book is that, like, when he realizes this, he's having a conversation with Tyler, who finally shows back up because he knows where he is now. He's in his head.
Right.
And Tyler's like, yeah, when you think you go to sleep, like, I wake up. Like, so, like, that's why he's tired all the time, is because he's Tyler at night. And
Right.
And he sleeps for an hour. I think they say that in the movie.
Yeah.
They were like, Tyler Durden, like, only sleeps an hour and, like, does all this. And I thought that was a nice little touch.
Little touch in there.
But yeah, and so he's, like, pissed because Tyler's, like, creating all this chaos, and he wants it, the narrator wants it to stop, and Tyler was like, if you try to mess with any of this, like, I will end you, like, and he kind of does.
Yeah.
He, I think the narrator tries to go and shut down a fight club, and they, like, kick him out of the fight club because he's like, I'm Tyler Durden. And they're like, no, you're not. Like, because nobody knows who Tyler Durden is.
Right, because it's gotten so big.
Yeah, and, so then they, like, basically kidnap him on a, oh my god, so much happens. I'm so sorry I'm talking so much.
No, do it.
So, long story short, this is all over the place, but, like, between the point where he knows that Tyler's in his head, and then, like, I can't remember what I was saying. But anyway, so at one point, he gets in a car with a bunch of the space monkeys. They, like, bring him into the wrong side of traffic, and, like, basically, like, they're like, I'm gonna crash this car unless you tell me, like, what you want out of life. Like, he's like, I hate my job, and, like, because he's trying to get them to get out of the traffic, and he's like, I wish my boss would be dead or something, and it turns out, all right, cut back to what I was just saying. He tries to shut down Fight Club, and then, like, he gets on, like, he's on a bus on his way to work. His, like, office window's blown out. Do you remember all this? And, like, he knows, like, his boss has been killed. Like, everybody's sitting around his desk. Like, he can see it through the window. Like, and he's like, oh, like, because I said that. Like, I don't know if he thinks he did it himself. I don't really know. That's what's so crazy about the book, too, is it starts to get so confusing.
Yeah.
And he starts repeating the same stuff. Like, I would be listening to it, and I'd be like, did I rewind? Like, but it's the same, like, things over, like, same sentences over and over at different points, and it's so confusing. But so he's on this bus. He's not going to get off the bus because he's like, all right, if I get off the bus, these people are going to arrest me because my office is blown up and my boss is dead. And turns out everybody on the bus is a space monkey, and they turn around almost like a mutiny, but not really, because they're like, if, like you said, like, if anybody tries to shut down Fight Club, including yourself, we're, like, supposed to cut their balls off.
Right. Which I think is so, it's, like, wraps up the whole
masculinity thing. I know. And it's so, like, he created his own, like, not loophole, like, the opposite of a loophole. Like, he created his own
demise.
Yeah, because, like, the Tyler Durden is separate from the narrator, but the same person. But Tyler Durden knew that the narrator would try to shut it down, so he's like, if I try to shut,
Robot.
Yeah, he's like, if I try to shut this down, like, you still, like, you treat me like anybody else who would try to shut this down. And so, like, he has no way of, like, talking these people out of it, because he's like, no, like, I'm Tyler Durden, like, stop this right now. And they're like, oh, like, you told us you'd say that. And he was, I don't know what else he said, but they're like, oh, you definitely said you'd say that. Like, trying to save himself. And it's just so, I don't even know how it began. I don't even know what the point of all of this was.
No, I mean, you're just explaining the Project Mayhem.
Yeah, but so it just builds to this point where there's no way to shut any of this down.
Yeah. It's too gone, too far, too soon.
I don't know what the point of all that was.
Well, then at the very end,
I'm hot.
I'm stressed now.
I'm sweating.
So at the very end of the book,
I guess we should say we're stopping here for part 1.
Oh, we're stopping here for part 1. Thank you so much for listening.
All right.
Bye.
Part 2 is about to start. If you still listen, it's gonna happen any second.
Bye.
Oh, see, we're here.
Wow.
What did we just say was
It's
gonna happen?
Magic.
It's like we never left.
But now we're here.
Yeah, so let's continue this trippy episode.
This trippy trip.
Trippy trip. This trippy trip with
Trippy
Tyler.
sip with Paul C. What was it? Chuck P.
Sweating.
So at the very end of the book, after he realizes, like, who he is and what all's been done, doesn't he shoot himself?
Mm-hmm.
And the bomb doesn't even go off.
Yeah, and
the bomb's completely...
Yeah. Because he mixed it with the wrong thing.
It was like paraffin or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, you idiot.
And so he shoots himself, thinking he'll get rid of Tyler pretty much in his head. And then what happens, Alex?
In the book, he dies.
And then what happens in the movie?
In the movie, he just kills that part of himself, and all the buildings explode.
And then in the book, he dies, but then, like, he ends up in a mental hospital.
Wait, what?
Pretty much.
I thought he, like, died and his, like, heaven/hell was, like...
I thought that was his reality, though.
Wait, really? That changes everything, then. I thought he, like... I was like, oh, that's kind of sweet. Like, I thought he died and his, like, afterlife was him in that hospital. And, like, all these other Project Mayhem people that have died were, like, tending to him.
Oh, maybe. I think that he's so gone at that point that he's, like... I think he didn't die from the gunshot wound. The bomb probably didn't go off. Somebody found him.
Oh, my God.
And then maybe, like... And then...
That's what I get for listening to it.
Well, no. But no. That's, Okay, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
In my father's house are many mansions, of course. When I pulled the trigger, I died. Liar. And then Tyler died. With the police helicopters thundering towards us, and Marla and all the support group who could...
Which I thought that was sweet.
Marla and all the support group people who couldn't save themselves, all of them trying to save me, I had to pull the trigger. Blah, blah, blah.
That's also kind of full circle with the support group, how he was, like, exploiting them, and then they were, like, on their deathbeds, but they're like, hey, like, life gets better, don't kill yourself.
Right. And he said, Marla's still on Earth, she writes to me. I think she's writing to him in the mental hospital.
Oh, okay, that makes sense then.
Just because every once in a while someone brings me my lunch tray and my meds, and he has a black eye on it, or his forehead was swollen with stitches, and he says, we miss you, Mr. Durden.
Oh, okay.
That makes more sense. According to plan. We look forward to getting you back. But that could totally make sense, though. I mean, because I think that's probably has to be a theory out there that, like, he really did die and, like, he's living. That
makes complete sense, though. I did not understand that the correct way. I think
you're gonna interpret any sort of meaning,
but I like that way.
The thing that I liked about actually what your dad said is, like, when he was wondering if he hadn't read the book but he's watched the movie just recently, and he was saying that he was wondering if any of those people at the Paper Street house were even real, like, or if that was all a figment of his imagination. And I mean, obviously they were real, but, like, it's just, it was cool to, because you didn't really hear about, in the movie, you didn't really see that whole side of him trying to find Tyler that much. I mean, it was just, like, a very short journey.
Yeah.
It looked like. So, to someone that hasn't read the book, like, that's a pretty good theory. I was like...
Yeah.
Because I remember the first time I watched the movie, I hadn't read the book. I think I thought the same thing to myself. I was like, is any of this even real? It's like fucking Shutter Island. And then
I did not see that coming.
I was about to say I
Shudder.
haven't seen that movie. I was like, oh
No,
fuck, I
that
fucked it
movie's
up.
stressful.
That was such a
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming either. So, yeah, I liked your dad's theory on that,
Mm-hmm.
or like at least his understanding of it just from reading or just from seeing the movie, which I thought was weird that the movie is 2.5 hours long. We just figured out, and they missed so much from the book.
I know. I was so mad that they didn't do like the hotel like stuff, like shenanigans.
Well, it kind of goes on the whole like theme of the book was like the kill the man.
Yeah.
So do you
fart in the man's meringue?
Oh, that's funny. Okay. So do you want to talk about some overarching themes of the book?
That's fine. You start talking because I've been talking forever.
No, I appreciate it because you always, like I said last time, you always remember stuff that I don't ever remember or even pick up on because I'm a fucking idiot. And when I read,
oh my god,
no, seriously, I read line by line like most people do, but then it spits it out like for the next line, so I don't really retain much unless I'm taking copious notes.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest themes of the book was the fact that I kind of mentioned it earlier about everyone just kind of striving for something like greater, whatever that be. Like for Tyler, I guess we can say it now. For Tyler, it started out as, I guess, is his real name Tyler then? Or is that just what he calls himself to everyone?
It's not specified.
We'll just call him Tyler now.
Well, no, that'll be confusing.
Okay, well, the narrator.
Yeah.
Can we call him something else? The Chuck P. The speaker. No, the narrator, like, he starts this underground club of like almost like weird ass misfits. I don't know anyone that would join a club.
That's another thing too.
To get the shit beaten out of them.
Like in the movie, whenever it's like following Brad Pitt. Like I love like follow shots because it makes it look so cool.
Yeah.
But it's like following Brad Pitt into like this bar,
mm-hmm.
and then they're just like sitting there until like the bar closes, and then he like nods to a guy, and they like walk him down to the basement. I was like, this is so cool. Then I was thinking about it. I was like, if anybody was acting like this, getting ready to go downstairs and fight each other, I'd be like, what is wrong with them?
It's a group of fucking psychos.
It's psychopaths. I'd be like,
we're leaving the bar.
Cool. Yeah.
We're going to Islands. We're going to Jimmy John's. I'm going the hell home. Mm-hmm. This night is taking a turn.
But yeah, it's just,
yeah. Excuse me. So yeah, that's just one of the biggest things that I just thought it was interesting that we have this like measly kind of undermined character narrator that assumes the role of like the alpha by default, I guess, because he started it, but then he keeps that role as alpha too.
Yeah.
So like this is his chance to be more than he has been his entire life for like just a couple hours at night.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and leading a group of men on this terrible crusade.
Mm-hmm.
Still not successful, but successful in a way on their terms. And it's just like this club that's just just filled with like, I hate to say it, but toxic masculinity. Like, it's just like there's no women allowed in this club. Like, it's very primal.
Yeah, animalistic.
And I mean, these guys still stay friends. It's not like they're just beating each other's ass for, you know, because they have beef with one another, but it's like they actually just enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, I just don't find any of that enjoyable.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I break a finger. I broke my fucking, this finger over Christmas, and I'm still not right. It hurts.
That's another thing. In the book, he has a hole in his face the whole time from Fight Club that never heals.
Yeah, yeah.
And it sounds disgusting. And they didn't include that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised they didn't include, like, more of, like, the human sacrifices. I mean, I guess maybe because the time it was made. Like, the humor.
And it never necessarily, like, specifies it in the book, but it definitely talks about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no, like, I don't know, there wasn't even an insinuation of that other than that board.
Yeah, which I never noticed until I, like, knew what it was.
Right. I guess it's kind of like, What movie did we watch that did that? Was it American Psycho or was it 1985?
1984.
1984. 1985, 1984.
I remember American Psycho, there were, like, subliminal things, like the drawings in the book, like his notebook were a lot of, like, different things that happened in the
Yes,
book.
exactly.
And that this isn't an exit sign.
That's so beautiful. I'll never forget when I saw
Mhm.
that. The first time I hadn't read the book, I was like, oh, that's like ironic and cute.
Mhm.
And then I was like, read the book, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh my, that was supposed to happen. It wasn't just a bathroom sign that happened to be there. So back on track, the whole premise of this Fight Club is like brotherhood, but also like just a little pump of that.
Adrenaline.
Right, adrenaline's a good one.
Mhm.
I was about to keep saying. What is testosterone? I was about to say, what is not estrogen? Testosterone.
Siri, what is not estrogen?
I'm gonna get a fucking ad for testosterone now. Do you need testosterone? Yes.
Bob does.
Aww.
Oh wait, did he take testosterone pills and that's what made his
he did.
his boobs grow?
His estrogen had to balance out with all the testosterone he was taking.
Yeah.
Poor Bob. What is another theme we can talk about?
That materialistic. I guess we already kind of talked about that, but
yeah, I definitely want to keep in on that though.
Yeah, that's something we didn't say at the beginning-ish of the book. One of the times the narrator gets home from like one of his trips to go evaluate a car crash or something. He gets home to his apartment and the apartment's blown out like completely, like all of his possessions and everything that he loved is like completely destroyed and he's devastated and he doesn't know how or why. And later on you find out it's Tyler did it, air quotes, but he did it. And Tyler's whole philosophy is like the things you own end up owning you. And so he had like his yin and yang coffee table that he loved. He had his like, I think it was like a green and white striped couch or something.
Bunch of IKEA stuff. He loved IKEA.
And it was just comfortable. And he talks about how like you buy a couch and you know you're never gonna have to buy a couch again and whatever. And so he was just owned by his things, and like deep down subconsciously he had no idea that he didn't want that. And then we already said it, but that's kind of like the backbone to Project Mayhem, is just like destroying all these material things, destroying art, destroying things that people hold so like high on a pedestal, like when in the grand scheme of life it really you know has no like.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big stickler on commercialism, like even though I am an active participant in commercialism, because that's just, you have to be just by like living. Obviously I try to take mine down, you know, as much as I can, but even now I still go and buy like coffee and stuff, like to-go coffee. That's one of the biggest friggin' examples of commercialism right there. But I try not to be like a commercialist pig, but like if I think about like my home, like that's one of the most dear things to me, like my possessions. I'm not talking about like, I mean obviously I love my phone because it holds my entire life and it's held together literally by tape right now. You know, and my computer stuff, because it makes my life easier. I'm able to make money off of these things. I can't make money off of my bed. I mean, I could, but you know what I mean. But like, so my possessions, like some of my books, some of my photographs, like when we had to evacuate from the hurricane, there was a couple things that like I grabbed. Like those are things that I find that are really dear to me, but they're still possessions. I guess he means more like commercial, versus like nostalgic. Materialism, but at the end of the day, it's the same thing. Because I mean, he's still getting rid of his nostalgic stuff too. It was like he pretty much just pressed the start over button on his life. And I mean, he was able to keep his job for not very long, but he at least, you know, he pretty much just started over. And I think that, I know that Tyler did that unconsciously. He did that as Tyler. But I think that happening, obviously, let's just stay in the obvious, but like, was like the catalyst for like this shit to like really hit the fan.
Yeah. And that's what moved him into Paper Street.
Exactly. So, I rest my case.
Yeah.
Judge. What did they kept saying?
Meeting adjourned.
Meeting adjourned. Did you see the end of that?
No.
You gotta watch it. He fucking goes in.
I know, I need to.
So, I also, I've read somewhere that some of the Fight Club is about being rejected by society. So they're like I don't know, I was trying to say like there's a bunch of losers that just kind of zeroed in on this one guy who was kind of a loser himself, but I guess just the alpha of the losers. But how it, like, God, what am I trying to say?
Like, had it been anybody else?
No, it was like almost like a God complex type thing.
That too, they were talking about like your father is like God, and if your father isn't there, then like what is God or something like that. I can't
Yeah,
remember
it had
what it was.
yeah, it had to do with a bunch of stuff with like a bunch of boys with pretty much with daddy issues. Like, cause even the narrator talks about it to Tyler briefly about how his dad's kind of like was like a deadbeat dad, or he didn't say quite deadbeat, or Tyler talks about it to him and just says that pretty much his dad just like wasn't a dad at all. Why is this turn on?
I don't think the bulb works. Yeah.
So but that's honestly that's a theme I didn't really. I mean, I get it, but I didn't really pick up on it as much as the others.
Yeah.
But it is damn true. And I will say, this book is definitely, it's not one of my like top favorites, but it's definitely one of my favorites that we've read. Because it's so well written.
Yeah.
And it's so smart. And I think I told you, I don't know if you got.
It is very smart.
Yeah. I don't know if you noticed, but like halfway through when he does kind of switch between him and I, like he'll start using the word I in reference to Tyler just for like a split second. Like he does it.
They did that in the movie too.
Oh, did they?
Like towards the beginning in the bathroom, and I think that's what you put on our Instagram. The when they're sitting in the bathroom, the narrator says, "You can't get married. I'm a 30-year-old baby." So he's saying you and then I'm like, and it's like what?
Interesting. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was like meant for that, but.
Maybe. So yeah, he it kind of interchanged. It's like The Shining in that way. Like it gets really gets in your head and gets really freaky. Which in any case, if a writer can do that, that's an awesome writer.
Yeah.
And really great writing.
Chuck P.
Good old Chuck P.
Yeah, I was getting so frustrated towards the end whenever he was starting to repeat himself.
Yeah.
And it was confusing me.
Yeah. That's kind of how The Shining is.
I never finished it.
Well, that's why I want us to read it, but we need it like
long.
for like a double month or something. Like definitely not February because it's the shortest month. So, so how did you feel about the movie ending? Did you prefer that ending to the actual ending?
Well, now that I understand the book ending better, I prefer the book ending because that's just like even more upsetting, I think, because he shot himself to kill Tyler, because he said like if I kill Tyler then like the rest will fall down,
right? But
he survives, and Project Mayhem continues. Like they're in the hospital or whatever saying like everything's going according to plan. Like
can't wait to have you back.
Yeah,
although I think he's going to jail for a while,
probably,
unless they found him, because he's brought to, I thought it was a mental hospital.
Yeah, but everybody's in on it now. So like even like the police officers and stuff, like maybe he isn't gonna go. Like maybe everything is going according to plan. He's gonna get out like scot-free.
Yeah.
And like that's not what he wants. Like he wants it all to be done, and it's just like the final nail in the coffin. Like this is never gonna end. Like what you've created is now like just completely out of control, and there's no way to stop it.
Yeah.
So I really like the book ending. The movie ending's cool.
It's good for theaters.
Yeah,
it's like
it's
nice
cool.
And dramatic.
And it's a little, it's more happy. Like, though I guess in the movie too, there's no end to Project Mayhem too, because he's like, I'm cool, I'm under control. Like,
which
I'm
I
good
hated
now.
that like switch.
Yeah.
He's like, it's fine, Marla. I'm here now. And it's like,
I have a hole in my face.
Yeah, like, no.
Yeah. No. And he's like telling the guys, he's like, go downstairs. I'll be down there in a minute. I was like, weren't you just trying to like stop
I thought that they, like, the first time I saw the movie, I thought that they were going down with the building.
I thought so too. I don't know why they didn't.
Because in the book, he was kind of supposed to do the whole suicide bomber thing.
Yeah, because he says, like, he's like, this isn't about killing people, and
Wait, I have actual tears in my eyes. I hope you guys remember that. I have tears in my eyes. I have tears in my eyes. I have tears in my
Haley.
eyes. I have tears in my motherfucking
Haley, my heart
eyes.
is pounding.
So is mine.
Like, I feel like my heart's about to explode.
I put that bag up there when we first started, but that was like an hour ago. So maybe it was
Yeah.
just settling. Maybe finally something just settled. Just a little too hard. I don't know, I'm not going near it. It's gonna stay there for at least.
Okay, well, I don't remember what I was
So I
saying.
think her spirit likes the book. That's what she's saying.
Yeah. Good.
Cool. Yeah, I thought they were going down with the building. So
Yeah.
You're like,
I don't remember what we were talking about.
if something else falls, that's how you know it's something up, because that could have just been settling. Like, what if it was just like slowly teetering?
Okay.
If something else falls, though, we're moving out tonight. Okay.
Shut up, don't say that.
And we'll go stay at your parents' house. So
Yeah, what do you think about the ending?
I get it, you know. I think it was nice, and like it was definitely a good aesthetic, like a better aesthetic than it would have been, I guess, in a mental hospital. But I feel like that the concept of this book is so wild and so what?
Nothing, I was just watching in the car.
It scared me. The concept of this book was so like out there. I feel like the way that it was resolved in the movie, and even a little bit in the book, but I mean, you can only resolve it in so many ways. The way it was resolved in the movie was just like I said, I was kind of annoyed by it. He like shot himself. He was like, "Oh, I'm fine, Marla.
Yeah.
Tyler's gone now. I'm here." It's like, no.
Yeah.
You just built this entire empire off a split personality, a dissociative personality.
And that you just found out about.
And you're fine because you just shot yourself in the cheek with no fucking medical assistance.
Yeah, and he's like, give me some gauze. He's like profusely like bleeding out of the side of his face. That was me when I got my wisdom teeth taken out. Just fucking give me some gauze. Oh God.
So cool. Yeah. So I feel like in the movie ending it would have been that much, or the book ending. If it had ended in the movie that way, it would have been so much cooler. And even when...
If the movie had ended the way the book ended?
Yes.
Okay.
Like, he ends, like, you wake up and he thought he's killed himself, but it turns out he actually, like, failed on killing himself, too. And, like, he's just pretty much stuck there. And then it's like, who knows? Is Tyler going to return? You know? Is the narrator ever going to get out? What's the situation?
No.
There's
he's
so
probably
many questions.
trying
Like
to kill himself
Psycho.
Again.
There's so many questions. And 1984/5.
Yeah.
So many questions. What else was I going to say? There was one more thing I was going to say. Oh, yeah. I feel like in the book, too, when Tyler, like, realizes... Well, I guess in the movie, too. But when Tyler realizes that... When the narrator realizes that he's Tyler, like, I feel like it's just kind of an underwhelming reaction. Like, I was expecting... I mean, yeah, he finds out, and, like, it's crazy, but then it's, like... I guess he accepts it as normal, like, too quickly. Like, I feel like in Mr. Robot, he fought it off for a while.
Yeah. In the book, he does, like, try to stay up as much as he can so he can't give Tyler control, and he tells Marla, like... He tries to fill her in on what's going on. She kind of understands. But he was like, if I do fall asleep and, like, I come back and I'm Tyler, like, follow me, write down what I do, like, tell me what I do when I'm me again. And she's like, okay, like, sure. I don't know how she would be able to differentiate. Like, that'd be weird to, like, see the switch.
Yeah. It's like that movie. What's that movie called? Split.
Yeah.
That was Switch.
But, that's another thing, too. When initially he was trying to, like, shut everything down and Tyler was like, if you mess with this, like, I'll end you. Tyler was like, if you, like, try to chain yourself to the bed and, like, go to sleep or, like, take a bunch of sleeping pills, like not cool. And that's, like, terrifying.
Yeah.
Because then he, like, comes back and he's fighting himself, basically. Oh, God, it's so weird.
The ultimate fight club.
The fight with yourself.
Every day. The existential crisis. Welcome to the book club for bitches with existential crises.
Yeah.
Crises.
Yeah. So it's just.
But yeah, it was a good book all around and really great writing.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed the writing.
Chuck P.
Chuck P. All right. So I think is that all we have to say?
I want to talk about. I guess there's nothing really to say about Mr. Robot, but I also wanted to talk about recasting.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
Because who would you have play the main guy?
You know who I would have.
Would it be
Rami Malek? Yeah.
Me too.
Only because that it's like I wonder if Mr. Robot like this was influenced. It was influenced by this. Yeah.
I'm sure. Because he like moves into this.
I
like,
wonder
little
if Mr.
dump.
Robot will kind of end in the same way.
I think that Elliot's gonna end up killing himself. I have no doubt in my mind. Because there's no good way it's gonna end.
Yeah.
Because the fucking.
We need to rewatch that.
I know, but I can't. No, Alex, I can't watch him move for that long. I'm not kidding. Like, I'm not even trying to be funny. I literally know I'll feel sick. I really will. It's like watching your only love that you've ever had in your lifetime, who, by the way, doesn't even know who the fuck you are, just be in existence. No.
That's how I felt after I finished. Have you heard of the show Legend of the Seeker?
No,
it's not a good show.
The BBC show?
I have no idea.
Probably.
It was all like British people.
Horse girl energy.
But it's like about this fantasy world and stuff. And the lead guy, who I'm sure he's still cute now if I look back at him, but he was so cute. And then after it was over and like he was like with the girl he was supposed to be with on the show, I was like, I'll never have him. And it hurt. Like I felt sick for like a day.
Yeah.
What's wrong with
No. I'm the same way. That's why I really was kind of hesitant and a little bit standoffish about watching Bohemian Rhapsody. Bo Rap.
Yeah. Bo Rap.
Because I just couldn't watch him.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to watch him.
Yeah.
Oof. He could say the word spaghetti for 6 hours straight, just sitting there monotone, and I'd probably cum my pants. Cut that out. Spaghetti.
He probably likes spaghetti.
Oh, I bet the fuck he does. Oh my god. Okay, we can't talk about that anymore because seriously, I feel sick to my stomach.
Okay.
I love him so much, but I totally agree with that.
Okay, and then
I would like to see Evan Peters be someone's. I know that's always a safe choice, but I'd like to see him be inside, like, because you know Tyler Durden and the narrator were two different people technically.
Yeah.
But then him and I guess Rami Malek and Evan Peters don't look that similar. Neither does Edward.
No.
Norton.
Yeah.
Huh. Just race-wise, they're different.
Yeah.
But that could have... And I also loved how, like, that's, like, Tyler Durden was, like, who the narrator chose his alter ego to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this, like, sexy, like, fucking
ripped.
anything. Yeah, ripped.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally tan. Cut like a mama. Cut like a piece of glass. Have mercy on my soul.
Great style.
Yeah, exactly. Like, really just, like, flamboyant. And he, like, has a crush. Like, the narrator has a crush on Tyler. Like, he's in love with Tyler.
Yeah. He's everything he
wants.
wants.
That's, like, what he chose.
Yeah.
Exactly. And no wonder he falls in love with stuff. Like, what are you looking at?
Nothing. I'm just glancing into the world.
I keep forgetting these other
Who would you... Okay, so Rami Malek, Evan Peters would be cool. What about to be Tyler Durden? I haven't really thought about that. Oh, Chris Hemsworth.
Really?
No, only because he's so ripped and beautiful.
That's a good point.
Chris,
though.
not
The
Liam.
Rock.
Could you imagine? No, God, no. That'd be the worst thing in the whole world. I would boycott.
He was the Tooth Fairy.
That's when his career, like, died in my eyes. Didn't he wear...
Ever since I had that dream about him, I can't stop thinking about him. Like, before I could have given a shit about him, but I had that dream about him, and now I really love him. And I'm getting, like... I can't even have dreams about Rami Malek. That's how...
Like, your subconscious knows.
She won't even let me dream about him. She knows it'll hurt.
I told you about how I had a dream about Evan Peters, like, not too long ago, and I was really pissed when I woke up.
Because you couldn't finish it?
Well, that, and, like, I woke up and he wasn't in my life. You know?
That's what happens to us girls. May the best of luck. Us bitches.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth.
That's a good idea.
I'm just trying to think of like cute ripped guys.
Jason Momoa.
Jason.
Khal Drogo.
Yeah.
He's too ripped though.
Yeah, he's too.
But he'd almost be kind of like scary. Like I could see him being like really threatening.
Yeah.
But I feel like because I feel like he is such like a stereotypical like big built dude. Like I feel like that'd be perfect.
Mhm. Why can't I think of anybody?
That would actually, I think, would be more appropriate than Brad Pitt. And maybe pick a scrawnier kid than Edward Norton. Who, by the way, is attractive in this movie. And is attractive all the time. But that friggin' wasn't... I can't think of the word. The face he makes...
The squint he makes on the movie poster.
Then Brad Pitt's like...
I wish we had like a video of us.
We can do it side by side. Yeah, that's a good one.
Any girls for Marla?
I had thought about someone during, but she must have skipped my mind. She must not have been that good.
I think Angelina Jolie could be a good one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like as far as grimy. The like, yeah, like she could. I don't know if she could necessarily be like. Nobody could be her. Helena. How do you say it? Helena Bonham Carter?
Yeah, I think.
I always want to say Boham Carter.
That I mean, it sounds French.
Like Helena
Carter.
Bonham Carter.
Bonham Carter.
Nobody could be her. She's just got like that thing, and you can't explain it. But like, I feel like as far as like the I don't know. I just feel like Angelina Jolie could like be her because she's like sexy and mysterious, but she doesn't necessarily have that grime that
exactly. I think Angelina has more of that like sexy like grown woman vibe.
Yeah.
Marla was like just ate dinner out of trash can vibe. You know who would make the perfect Marla singer? I got it.
Who?
You ready?
Yeah.
Can I get a light drum roll? Just a little bit. And Molly Ringwald.
I'm gonna say I don't agree with that. Maybe
my mom hates her.
Yeah,
I kind of do too.
Maybe like the girl that sits in the back of the Breakfast Club.
Yeah,
could be her.
She old now. Yeah. She fine. Without hair. Oh great! No, I hadn't thought of anybody. I'm hungry. Oh my god, it's almost midnight. Okay, we're just talking now.
Yeah.
So,
any other directors? Which, by the way, I wish I had researched more about the movie, but David Fincher is such a fantastic director, and he is notorious for doing 1,000,001 takes just to get one single, 3-second shot perfect. Sure. So I wonder, I need to read about it, which it's not going to matter because it won't be in here, but...
Instagram post about how many hours it took to film the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
Let me see.
They filmed it in a very short period of time, right?
Filming Fight Club lasted 138 days with over 300 scenes shot at 200 locations and on 72 sets.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Is that like on industry standards?
I don't know. But
no, that's a genuine question.
Nuts. How many locations?
72.
Yeah.
Sets, 200 locations.
200, yeah, that seems insane. If you look at the movie, they're not in that many spots.
Yeah.
So to have that many locations is wild.
That's dedication. And I do appreciate the fact that it is 2.5 hours long. Like I said, I wish maybe they had included a little bit more of like closely following the book a little bit more. But for the most part, the movie was great.
Yeah, I did really like the movie. I really liked... Oh, and Jared Leto.
This is our second movie that Jared Leto has come into play.
What was his first one?
American Psycho.
Yeah. I think, and these were his early movies, too.
Yeah, because they would be made around the same time. Was that 99? And one was...
I'm about to look. Yeah, Fight Club was 99. American Psycho was 2000.
2000. Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, before that, he was in, TV series. And it looks like a couple movies, but I feel like, I guess if you're a Jared Leto fan, big fan,
well, then
these movies matter.
But Sunday, right? Isn't he the main, like the lead singer? Not Taking Back Sunday.
30 Seconds to Mars.
30 Seconds to Mars.
Same thing.
Pretty much. So he's like
he's in
triple
so
friggin'
much.
threat. He's a beautiful man. He can act and he can sing. Like,
yeah.
He's musically talented.
And he seems so, like...
And he hangs out with Mondo Rat.
Yeah.
And he looked so good at the Met Gala with her.
He's, like, so... what's the word? He's got such a great, like, retro look to him, I guess.
Right.
Like, he looks very, like, 70s just in his looks.
Yeah. Okay. Would you like to announce the March Book of the Month?
Yes.
Now, Alex and I are going to be world traveling in March.
Oh, yeah,
We're both going to be on opposite sides of the country. I keep saying this. Opposite sides of the country for, like, the same amount of time. So we picked a little bit of a shorter book. It's like a short story, essay.
But
however, it's still going to be filled with lots of juice.
Oh, yeah.
Lots
and
of
it
good
has
juice.
a movie. All right.
And our March Book of the Month is...
Follow the House of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe.
Heck yeah.
I'm so excited. I haven't read Edgar Allan Poe in so long, and he used to be, like, one of my favorite.
And we both have it in our possessions, too, which was nice. That was a good surprise that I didn't have to order it online.
Yeah.
Commercialism.
Yeah,
Amazon.
so Follow the House of Usher, it's a short story.
Yeah, it's like 30 pages long.
Yeah. So there's no excuse not to read it.
Literally.
And it is a movie, and I remember watching it in class and being shook, so.
Do you know who directs the movie?
It's directed by Roger Corman.
Roger Corman. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Can't wait to learn all about our new friend Raj.
And he is still alive. He's 92 years old.
Oh, I bet the hell he is.
Yeah, this is going to be fantastic. It's a horror movie.
So,
I'm so excited to talk about it.
I'm looking forward to it. And then we get our first, like, old movie. I don't think we've had an old movie yet. So,
yeah.
Like, okay, so we hope you have a great rest of your February, even though it's like pretty much over. We hope you guys have a great March. Be safe.
Yeah. Enjoy the spring. If you're up north. Sorry about that.
We'll see you soon. We'll send some up there.
And on that note.
Bye.
Bye.